Hey everyone, it's raining here in Spain, so I'm inside. It's a little bit dark. Sorry about that. Usually I make my videos. Today we are going to be covering, and let me pull up my notes here. I'm going to be talking about the difference between training and competing on the European circuit versus training and competing in the USA. And this is a fun topic because, again, when I was young, I always heard, like, oh, if you want to be a Grand Prix show jumper, go to Germany or go to the Netherlands. Like they always would say, go to Europe, basically, no one ever said stay in the US. And it really kind of confused me when I was young. So I wanted to talk about this topic today because I feel like there's a big Grand Prix realms, if that's of interest to you, but is a gap definitely between Europe and the USA. And I can say for sure, I didn't realize or I didn't learn what that actually was until I left the USA and I went to Europe. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. If you guys are joining me, as I said, it's raining here in Spain. So share with me what the weather is like where in the world you're from. Okay. It's raining here. Share with me where in the world you are and what the weather is like. Comment, comment, comment. And if your comments, I do reply to everyone. I want to see you guys being active, participating. We have sunshine in Arizona. Woohoo! I'm jealous. Jealous, jealous, jealous. It's raining. Okay. So how do I put that? Okay. So I'm going to cover some questions first that I'm going to be talking about today, but I'm going to share with you some questions which I used to wonder when I was a kid. Maybe you also are curious about these things. Also, before I end this call live, if you have other questions related to Grand Prix dreams, comment them. Okay, I want you guys to comment your question. I'm here. Let me answer these questions for you. So if there's anything that you've ever been curious when it comes to, training in Europe or whatever it is, like just comment those. Okay. So some is it actually any different? The other thing that I used to really wonder was like, why do all of the professionals go to Europe to train and compete? Like, if they have all of the money in the world, why are they still going to Europe? Why not just do it in the US? I used to really wonder that. And I used to really wonder, like, what's it like training in Germany and Belgium and Netherlands and, all these countries? Like, what is it actually like? And what are the horses like? Okay, what are the horses like here in Europe? Why is it so different? What's so different about training or competing here in Europe versus the US? And then lastly, do I have to go to Europe to train if I'm serious about high level competitions? Okay, so these those questions. Let me see, guys. Want to know? Comment, comment, comment. Oop, my little button doesn't seem to be working today. I see another comment. Sunshine in AR2. Ooh, awesome. Sunshine. There it goes. Seems like it's just a little bit slow. Okay. Remember, if you have any other questions other than the ones that I just mentioned, let me know. Let me know. Let's go over number one. Is it actually any different? Is it any different? Is it the same Europe and the US when it comes to the equestrian world? Here's the funny thing that I found, because I didn't just ride in California where I grew up. I trained in California. I also went to an equestrian school in Oklahoma. I later went to an equestrian college in West Virginia. I've worked in probably 5 different states in the US with horses. So, I'm speaking not just from where I grew in California, but I am speaking about a lot of different places in the US. Here's the thing. In the US, and I don't say this to sound mean, it's almost like we're like a bit behind the times. Okay? There's a lot of things in the US that we're super modern, super advanced, super ahead of the world. But when it comes to equestrian sports, and in particular, I'm going to talk about Grand Prix level show jumping and Grand Prix level dressage, we're a little bit behind the times. We're a little bit behind the times. So, yes, it is different. Here's some examples. In the USA, okay, when I was young, I remember I was 12 years old. I was competing in the, I think, 3'3" class, and my barn was jumping that big. Um, 3'3". So I would go to the show and I would win ribbons. Win those ribbons. But here's the thing. I was competing against like 4 people. I was competing against 4 people. So I was always in the ribbons. If my horse stopped at a jump, I was still in the ribbons. Okay. I still walked away with a little bit of prize money or some little cute whatever it was that they had us. Okay. So that was my experience in the US. Here is how the baby competition, okay, for the like little children starts at like 80 centimeters, which is, I think, 3 foot, something like that. Maybe 90 centimeters. Okay. It's for like children or super baby horses. Most horses in Europe start at around 1 meter. Okay. I just recently purchased Zafira, my little show jumping mare in training. She's only 4. So they only started saddle training her at the age of 4. So within 1 year, they threw her into some competitions at the baby level, which was 1 meter. Okay. So my 4-year-old baby horse was competing higher than I was when I was a show jumper. I was, 12. Okay. So here the levels are different. Okay. Our high level in the come home with a rib that class. Okay. There's 80 people in the 1 meter. If you're not good, you're not going to get a ribbon. Okay. You have to actually be good. You can't just float around, stop at a jump, have 4 rails down. Okay. You have to actually be good. Okay. You have to be good. And here's the thing that a lot of people in the US, I think, don't realize, because we're kind of stuck at those small jumps. For warm bloods, those are baby jumps. Okay, the baby jump. A baby horse, a cow can jump 1 meter. Cow can jump 3'6". That, I think that's wonderful. To the super proud about it because it seems like an achievement, but in the rest of the world, that achievement, especially in particular when you're working with warm bloods, which is what we use mostly here in Europe. When I was in the US, I was riding a lot of thoroughbreds off the track. Thoroughbreds are great for the eventing, so they jump, let's say, more brave fences in the cross country, but they don't jump high. Highest level 5-star eventing horse is jumping 1.20 m. Okay, show jumping, there you go, 1.60 m. So it's a different style of jumping, the thoroughbreds. Okay. I see dark and raining here in France. Hello. Okay. So when you're asking, is it different? Okay. Yes, it's different in Europe, and you're starting at a much higher level than what most people in the US are competing at. Most people in the US, they're never even getting to the 1 meter class. Okay. They kind of cruise around in that 3-foot range and they're like maxed out. Okay. So that's one big different thing. Let's see. What's the next question? Why are all of the professional riders going to Europe to train and compete? Okay. How come even if they're billionaires, why do they all have horses in Europe? Like, why aren't they doing it in the US? Well, a few reasons. One of them is the US. The US is a huge place. It's huge. Someone to drive from California to Florida, I mean, that takes a while. It's a long way. Okay. You're not going to make that trip every weekend. Here, I can go to France in 3 hours. 3 hours. I could go to Germany, I don't know, probably 6, 7 hours, something like that. I can go to the Netherlands. I can go to Belgium. Like here, in a short amount of distance, you can actually travel and do a pretty big international circuit. And there's more frequency of competitions here than there are in the US because it's not as popular there as it is. Okay. It's pretty popular. There's quite a lot of riders that are interested. So there's more competition here, more access to competitions internationally. As I said, I can drive for 3 hours and be in France. Okay. I could drive more of an international circuit here. There's more riders competing here. Just more of a thing here than it is back home. You know, when I, okay, over here, people here don't have that. It's not weird over here to ride horses. It's actually more normal. Pretty much you can grab any person does. Okay. In my town where I grew up, there was a town of, I think, maybe 6,000 people. I was the only horse rider. I was the one. Everyone in school thought I was the weirdo for riding horses. So you couldn't have picked anyone in town and found a horse rider because I was the one and the only. So, here in Europe, it's more of a thing. It's more of a or, it's easily it's not so much in the US. Okay? That's just the way it is. So that's why a lot of riders, I think, choose to compete here because there's just access to more here than there is there. Also, for example, Spain, it's kind of like Florida in the US. We have like a winter circuit here. You can come here because the weather is good all year round. So, there's countries on the Mediterranean like Italy and Spain and Greece and all these places that are in the warmer climates, and we have countries like Germany and Netherlands, Belgium, and in the winter they have indoors. So there's a circuit and a kind of a place you can compete all year round here. Okay, there's always somewhere you can go. You don't have to halt everything because it's snowing outside. Another thing is that most Grand Prix horses, whether you admit it or not, whether you like it or being, guess what? They're from Europe. Sport horses are from Europe. You don't have to import them because you can just buy them pretty much anywhere. So I bought Zafira, as I said, a couple of months ago. To Czech Republic, it was like an hour flight. Probably saw her, loved her, bought her, and then within a week, she got loaded up onto a horse transport. They drove her here. It took her, I think, 2 days. She had to spend the night somewhere. It was either one night, I think she spent the night, or maybe two, so she could be fresh and not drive so much. And then she was here. So, like, within a week, I saw her, bought her, she came here. Like, it was a pretty straightforward process. If you're gonna import horse from Europe and send it to the US, first of all, that's super expensive. It costs a lot of money. You're gonna look at like $10,000-$15,000 just for the transport, quarantine here, and then it has to, go on an airplane, blah blah blah. Then when it's there, it has to be in quarantine for a month. So, it's a big cost to bring a horse to Europe, and it's expensive. So it's easier if you're a pro to just have some horses here. Just have some horses here if you want to compete in the travel around in the European circuit and then fly home when you're done, kind of a thing. So a lot of riders, that's what they do. Yeah. They have their competition horses here in Europe. maybe they have a string of horses in the US, but for most of them, they just keep their horses here because it's easier. They fly here, horses already here. They do the show circuit in the winter and the summer or all year round or whatever it is, and then horse has a happy life. So that's a kind of other example. Okay. The last thing that I'm going to say is that there's more higher level horses and trainers here. Levels here, as I said earlier, they're different. Our high level 3 foot in the US is baby stuff here. So I'm the highest level FEI coach in the registered horse riders in the USEF. I'm the only FEI level 2 show jumping coach. Like, is that not crazy? 40 million horse riders registered. I'm the only one. It's pretty crazy, but it's true. Okay, you can check the FEI website. Like, I'm the one and only. It's pretty weird, but that's just the way it is. There's a big gap in our education when it comes to high level sports in the US. It doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means there's a lot less, and it's not as easily accessible as it is here. Okay. Number 3, let's move on. So, what is it really like? First of all, okay, people here understand and they know that it costs money to be a competitive show jumper. It costs money to be a competitive dressage rider. I mean, in dressage, you don't even any prize money. In show jumping, you do. In dressage, you don't. But they know that it costs money, and it's not cheap. Okay, if you want a competitive horse, you need a horse lorry, for example, to transport them from country to competition fees. You need to pay to keep that horse in the stables for that week or however long. Um, huge horse lorry, for example, which is basically a bus. You can fit like 6 horses in it and have living quarters and everything. That could cost you 300,000 euros, 500,000 euros if you get like a super fancy one. Okay, so that money adds up. Okay, $300,000 euros just for a big horse lorry. A Grand Prix horse is going to be 6 figures for like medal or something. So you're talking about a lot of money being thrown around. There's a lot more money being invested in the sport in general. I remember I was watching a competition recently, and and all of like amazing different sponsors sponsor the jump. So each jump is like super amazing, like crazy, just really cool jumps. And then I remember I watched them, and there was like no sponsors on any of the jumps, which I found weird considering how much the US spends on advertising and billboards. And, you see Coca Cola products everywhere, Red Bull and blah, like all these ads everywhere. And yet there was like no sponsored horse jumps, which I found crazy. So there's more money being invested here in the sport. People here understand that it's expensive to be a competitive show jumper or dressage rider, and they're willing to invest that money because it is, or they just do it for fun. But like they understand that it's expensive. They love it. They're willing to pay for it. It's a hobby that they enjoy, and it's just something that they kind of factor in. Okay, so it's kind of more normalized here, I guess, to spend money on the sport that you love. I guess like golf, people spend a lot of money on golf. I don't know why. It's a stick ball. I don't get it, but they do. The other question, moving on, and likes and loves. I want you to to this video if you guys are enjoying this. Okay, I want to comment some little hearts, give some little thumbs up. Um, let's see. I'm on to point number 4. Let me see some likes and loves and hearts and things. Let's see. We see rain, rain, rain in the UK. Woohoo. Sunny in quite a few places in the US, it seems like. Rain, rain, rain in the UK. It's definitely rain, rain, rain here. Okay. So comment, likes, love if you guys are enjoying this video so far. Comment. So far, which one's the most interesting to you? Yeah. It's been the most interesting thing I've shared so far. Comment. Okay. Let me move on to number 4. What are the horses like? I think that's a question. I said when I actually rode a lot of thoroughbreds, especially off the track thoroughbreds in jumping days. That was just what was easily accessible and available, I think. So I was used to riding thoroughbreds at that time of my life. And then I came over to this side of the world and I basically started exclusively working with warm bloods. And I found out that working with warm bloods is very different than working with thoroughbreds, very different than working with Arabians or any other breeds. Warm bloods, they're big, they're powerful. You can't ride them the same way that you ride thoroughbreds. You can't jump them the same way that you jump thoroughbreds. That's one of the big differences I think that I noticed in the US. A lot of people have access to warm bloods, so they don't know how to ride warm bloods. So if they want to move up in levels, they get kind of stuck because they're trying to ride them like a thoroughbred and it doesn't work. Okay. Ellie sharing a comment. Let's kind of see if I can put that on my screen for you guys. So Ellie, class sizes amazed me. I'm so used to classes being massive. And when you said in the US how tiny the classes are, wow. I know. Yeah. It's pretty small in the US. It's sad. It's really sad. I wish more people rode horses in the US and I wish more people sing here in Europe. It's just not so serious there. I think people be an investment opportunity and it can be a business and it can be a viable source of money or income. I think it's just like people just don't know in the US. So, okay, the horses. So, horses here in Europe, as I said, if you want high level, is what I'm talking about. So, Grand Prix show jumping, Grand Prix dressage, then you're going to be working with warm bloods, and they don't ride the same like thoroughbreds, so you can't ride them the same. Here's a secret that I think a lot of people don't realize. When you find a warm blood in the US that's been imported, most of the people here in Europe that are selling horses to the USA, and this is going to sound harsh, they're selling the horses to people in the USA. Okay, it sounds harsh, but it's true. They like to keep the good horses here in Europe to compete them in the European circuit and to move them up in levels because those horses are going to be worth a lot of money, 6-7 figures, as I said. So they keep the good horses here in Europe and they send the not so good horses to the US because the level there is so small. And as I said, a cow can jump 1 meter. So if their horse can pop over 1 meter and that person in the US is only going to be jumping 3 foot, it doesn't affect their life. Okay. So they keep the good horses here in Europe and they send the not so good ones to the US. The other thing is they know when they're selling horses to foreigners, if a horse goes to China or India, well, those horses can never return. They can never come back to Europe. There's diseases and, different things in Africa and Asia that don't exist in Europe and the US. So they know if they send these horses to other countries, chances are that horse is never coming back. If they send it to the US, it's probably never coming back. So, okay, they send the ones that they're like happy to never have come back, happy to never see again. Sounds harsh. That's the business. Okay, so all of the not so good show jumping horses or dressage horses go to the US, go to China, go to India, and so on. But that means there's a lot of really good horses here and really good quality training. And chances are those are the horses that are going to stay here and they're going to keep moving up in levels. And they're going to be competitive. Those horses aren't for sale. If you have the money, anything's for sale, but those are the expensive horses. Okay. The last thing that I want to talk about, do you in high level competitions? Based on everything I shared with you guys today, I guess you're going to conclude that the answer is yes. So, again, I didn't realize this until I left the USA and I came to Europe myself. But here's what I found. If you're serious about Grand Prix show jumping or Grand Prix dressage, you have to come to Europe. Okay. As I said earlier, I have my show jumping mare in training, Zafira. It's my intention at some point to get one or two Grand Prix level show jumpers, maybe even a Grand Prix dressage horse for my dressage clients who want to come out here and be competitive, compete on the European circuit. You can and do some dressage with those horses, of course. Um, if you want to be super competitive and like go to the Olympics or something, then I still say the warm bloods for dressage, because at the end of the day, it's a sport of opinion. Okay. Let me just see my notes quickly if I'm forgetting anything. So yeah, you need to come to Europe. You can, for example, buy a horse. For example, if you kept it at my stable, do the European circuit whenever you're here and then kept it here while it's in training. I don't know, whatever. Or you can kind of, I don't know, figure out what it is that your game plan is. Like, how serious are you? You want to actually purchase a horse? You want to be competing in the European circuit? How serious and how committed are you? That's definitely questions that you should start asking yourself. Because if you are serious, so yes, if you're interested in training with me here in Spain, or competing in the European circuit next year in 2023, for example, I will be offering this to select people. My stable is very small. Okay, I have a private stable. This is not open to the public. People can't just come here. It is only for my show jumping, Grand Prix show jumping horses, or Grand Prix show jumping horses in training, and maybe a couple of client horses. So this is not something, I'm not a factory, okay? I'm not in the business of flipping bad horses to the USA. I'm not interested in that at all. So if you're one of those that's actually serious about coming to my stables, riding with me, training with me, maybe even getting a horse for competitions at some point, maybe even doing the let me know. Comment Spain down below. I will get in touch with you. We can always chat. It's a very small opportunity. I only want a couple of people. It's not something I'm opening to everyone. So yeah, I want you guys to kind of comment and share. So I know Ellie had shared her. What was your guys' biggest takeaway, okay, from today's talk? And also, if you guys have any other questions, okay, I'm live right now. Even if you're watching the replay, comment your questions right now, because I will still answer all of the questions. Okay. If you don't see it in this video, I'll still comment or reply. If it requires more explanation, then maybe I work it into next week's live stream. Okay. So comment your questions, in all questions, Europe or Grand Prix or competitions or whatever it is, working with high-level coaches, high-level horses, warm bloods, like whatever your questions are, comment, and I will answer those. Let me just check the chat if I have any questions from anyone. And then don't forget to comment Spain down below if you're one of those that you're like, I want to do Grand Prix, or I want to come to Europe, I want to do the European circuit. Comment Spain, let me know who's interested, so I can kind of get a feel for how many people we have. Okay, any questions? Any? I'm going to leave some questions. I will still address them. I see Spain. Spain, Spain, Spain. Okay, I don't see any questions. Do, 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 do. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm loving talking about these kind of topics that no one else is talking about. So if you guys have any other topic ideas as well for future lives, like let me know. I like to talk about those things no one else wants to talk about. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you